Hello, I am Farištamo, as Shirley has said already, and my speech today will be about both animal activism and environmentalism here in Estonia, and a little bit philosophical view behind it. Thank you, Sarah. Anyways, I'm myself a musician and pianist. As a pianist, it is something inside you what makes you want to go on stage. And I feel the same as an activist. I don't see it as a hobby, but as something inner, like an inner force. There is an old story about hummingbird and a jaguar. There was a forest what started to burn, and all the animals and birds started to run and fly away. But this hummingbird flew and then came back all the time. And Jaguar was looking at it, and at one point stopped this hummingbird and asked, why are you going back to that burning forest? And the hummingbird said that this is my home and it is burning, so I'm bringing water there from lake. The jaguar was surprised and said that, yeah, but you're so small, like you can't do anything. And then hummingbird said that, yeah, but this is my only home, so I do whatever I can, even if I know that it might not help that much. Jaguar thought about it, and I finished the story here. So as an activist, I find it the same as one person. Sometimes maybe it might feel that you have nothing to do, or your things, what you can do, don't change. But this is our only home, so we do what we can. Here are two photos. This one with trees. This is a global thing. It seems like there is a war against everything alive. Especially we see it, at least in Estonia, we see it with trees in basically every city, probably every area where there are clear cuts. But it's the same with mining or all the other industries who use resources. And then there are these people who try to stop it. So basically they are like trying to kind of stop industry. And I have thought, why is it like that? Why are we here where we are? In old days, when there were not so many people and there were a lot of maybe jungles and a lot of nature, it was dangerous to go out. So you had to be really careful. And to read history, we see that there was always this need to conquer and to create, to do like parks, let's say. I was walking with my child and she asked me, who did that park? And then I started to think that, wow, actually, I guess this park used to be maybe forest or something before people came. But because she is raised in a world where we do everything, she even thinks that nature is somehow created by someone. And this is something what I see everywhere. People think that we can do everything and we have to kind of make it better. In the same time, we need nature to be as it is. We need that biodiversity. And this is what Huxley here says. We saw that nature was always there and we could do anything. It never ended. And now we are not anymore in that place. Now we are in a place where, for example, wild animals, mammals, there are 4%. In the same time, farmed animals, they're 60%. But as people in general, we don't think of these numbers, that these have changed, and maybe it should be the time to back off. If we speak in Estonia about environmentalists and animal rights activists, I have worked now in both fields, and it is interesting to see how people work on a same direction in the same time. The beginning or the cause, the reasons seem to be different, what make them active or to be these people to work as an activist. In the same time, here in Western world, we like to say that there are too many people in the world, and that's why we have these problems. We have to have less people, not maybe addressing that we here take so much more resources than people in the places where there are more people, like Africa or Asia, because they just don't use so much resources. They don't have it. They don't have this capacity to use it. And if we say that you shouldn't do that, whatever, but we are doing, then there are this kind of scissors in Estonian language, but in English probably it's used some other word. I can't remember at the moment. Anyways, one example, cocoa. We can eat as much chocolate as we want, probably, if we have money. In the same time, these people who are growing cocoa, and if they are really poor because they don't get enough money, then they are cutting down maybe natural park. And if we then say that you shouldn't do that, but if they don't have money to buy food, then they are really on the first layer there. And this kind of thinking that maybe I should think about animal rights or environment, this will not pass their mind. So to be up there, maybe on 7th or 6th, 5th, it is kind of luxury. So here in Western world, we have this possibility, we have this luxury to be an activist. So in that sense, if we know about it, for example, then I have seen that this makes us more active, because we have that, we have this, possibility, because everything else is already taken care of. We don't need to grow our food. Somebody else is doing that. We maybe don't need to heat or do other stuff what people who are really poor have to do, and then they can't be an activist. As an environmentalist, people are talking a lot about, let's say, forestry in Estonia, that forests are seen as place for taking wood. In the same time, also all the other areas, mining, it's just a place where we can get something. It's not ecosystem in a sense. So environmentalists, the messages are about that, and not addressing at all what is, for example, on their plates. And there is this question: how much should we be able to think of in our lives? For example, if I am really concerned about what is happening with forests in Estonia, or with birds, let's say, and I put all my time there, how can I bring, let's say, animal rights into my life? This is my question very often, because working in two areas, they are connected, but if one is really concentrated, is it possible to bring them together? I try to answer it later. And in the same time, what I have seen is that people who are really into animal rights, and if someone tries to explain what is happening in some other areas, it is difficult to bring it to our lives because it's kind of full. It seems that our life don't have so much place. It's like, I don't know, a bag. And if it is full, then it's full. But how to bring them together? Should I take something out? How can I make sure what is important really in my bag? And this, when cruelty is normalized, the truth is radical. This is something everywhere. What I have seen is that talking with people who are, let's say, in industry, they are still people, but if they are doing bad things to the nature, can I speak to them in a concrete way? If I try differently, it's this thing that if people do bad things in my eyes, let's say, how should I address it? In a society, if I say in a very concrete way that, hey, you're doing bad, what happens is that people start to defend them. And then we are in a position that, okay, you are doing really bad things, let's say to an animals, and then I'm addressing it in a concrete way, and then other people will see that, yeah, but you're a bad person, so let's say me. And in that sense, then we come here that this, what is cruelty then? Is this cruelty if I say to someone that you are doing cruel things? And how can we get to that point that if someone says the truth, that this would be normal and normalized, and that society could see that as it is and could take it and not feel maybe uncomfortable and start to then somehow be against that person who actually says what is wrong in the world. I have written here some things like drainage. This is something what people, at least in Estonia, don't yet so much realize how bad it can be, because drainage is when you want the land to be drier because you think it's better. And in Estonian, we use word making land better. And then if you hear that word, you start to think, oh yeah, of course, you're doing something good, right? But this is the way to wash the word. and to greenwash basically, and to make this brainwash so that people start to think that, oh, yeah, okay, good. Not thinking that if you take water away from the land, then the land gets drier and drier. And in the end, we don't have, for example, drinking water, and nature don't have water. So all the species and trees, so everything kind of changes. Mining, forestry, animals, of course, exploitation everywhere in our whole whole world. Uh, and here is that question: is everything for us to use? I think this is one of the roots why we are here where we are. We see, or people see, maybe we don't see. I use the word we, but not thinking us who are maybe here. So, is everything here for use? Can I use animals, or are they by themselves valuable? So I find here this is the point that if we would see animals differently, and if we wouldn't see them as machines, let's say, for food, then maybe we wouldn't have these problems as we have at the moment. Animal rights activists, they know it. But if we talk about environmentalists who are maybe not thinking about that area too much, then it is something not in their bag. And how can we put it in their bag? Should we put it in their bag? Or is it even their responsibility to think about it? Or should animal rights activists then demand a change in a system so that everybody will get it in their bag without too much work, let's say? Yes, us versus them. Just a few photos. This is about nature as a warehouse. Last year, I heard someone saying that even if we see world as a warehouse, even then we are doing really bad because our warehouse is getting emptier really quickly, and we don't have courage, I think, to say it that this is what we are doing. We are emptying our warehouse, even though we shouldn't see nature as a warehouse. and of course, then animals as machines. If we wouldn't see them as machines, then it would probably be better. And then this common thinking as a parent, it's quite difficult to raise a kid so that the world wouldn't be full of specificism, because all the books are about that. They say that chickens give eggs, and if I explain to kids that actually people are taking the eggs, then this could change. If there would be more art and all the things what surround us, then maybe it would change. And then probably it would be easier to everybody who are in an environmental area, let's say, to see that animal rights are something very normal. In the same time, do people have rights? That was one question we discussed with environmentalists. We talk a lot about clean air, clean water, and soil. In the same time, they are not protected because we grow food with pesticides, and meat industry, animals we use a lot of, or other use a lot of antibiotics and so on. So in a sense, people do not have rights what they need. People do not have rights for clean water, it seems, because if you say that you're a bad person because uh, your work is actually poisoning our water, then who will get to jail? And then people who are not concentrating on that theme, um, if it is not forbidden, maybe it's not so bad. That was something I started to think that if we don't get politicians on board, as we all want and work towards, then it's difficult to explain that, pesticides maybe not good idea, maybe bio is better idea, maybe uh, vegan food is better idea, and maybe clear cutting not a best idea. Um, it's this ecosystem, again, biodiversity as a right, as a human right. And then animals, again, if we take them here, if we as people do not have these rights, then it's really difficult to fight for rights for animals because we don't even understand that we as people need it. This was now from part of environmental point of view. To come back on animal rights point of view, it's that we all have the right to be as we choose to be. So we shouldn't think of ourselves if we protect animals. And maybe here is one of the roots or root cause why these are in a different kind of track and why it's difficult to put them together, although it is possible because the starting point is different. Grief. Probably all of us, or most of us, who work in field of animal activism or environmental activism, I'm still making them as separate, but is that we really feel bad about what is happening. And then this model of grief, we are on a different place on it. And so there's 5 stages. Uh, it depends where we are. And then these messages, what we say, come from where we are. And also other people who hear those messages, they get them also from where they are. So, for example, if I am not yet there in this acceptance, what is the maybe best place to be? Because then I can let go and I can really see what is happening and think about the message so that it would be really clear. If I'm, for example, in this bargaining or depression, then my messages are all kind of through the filter. And also as a receiver, I get these messages from from this through this filter. For example, one campaign in Estonia is about saving the fishes through um, understanding which fishes are more endangered and which are not so much um, concerning the data. And so this campaign says that eat this fish, not that. And the question is here, if it really saves the fish or it makes you feel that maybe you should eat that fish. But if you think where we are there, if I accept it, like that there is this problems, maybe I can say that I will not eat the fish because it will not make my life worse. Of course, if we go back now to that to here, and I don't have anything else to eat than the fish, then of course I eat fish probably, or I die. So it depends where we live. And now the different messages and different campaigns. I told you a little bit about this word hopium here. This is probably, if we are in this bargaining place, that I hope that if I do this or that, then everything will be okay. This positive thinking that, yeah, if I do this or that. But anyways, we have this environmental anxiety. And as an activist, probably what we could do is to get used to it and to let ourselves feel that grief and this anxiety and accept it, and then learn how to live with it. And as a society, to understand that, yes, it is there. All these environmentalists, all these animal activists, they are sometimes maybe really strong because it is bad situation we are in. But if, again, we are on this denial stage where most of society is, then how you get through with your message? Probably you won't. But if we understand that this is the stage, we can help each other go through the stages and end up in this acceptance, so that the messages, if they are really strong, that we can live with them. Because it is hard to get those messages, to listen to them, and to understand that really it's so bad, or is it even worse? If we think that people have created more than biomass on itself, on waste, we have created so many things on Earth, also concrete, or it weighs more. And I think it was even that plastic, there is more plastic. So, anyways, these numbers are insane. How many things we have created. And if we read these numbers, it's much better to be on that denial stage. In the same time, if we, for example, or someone is on already or is on this depression stage and is talking to someone who is on denial stage, then we can imagine what happens there. Because denial stage, they don't want to understand. They don't want to hear it. Hey, go away. And if you're on this depression stage, you're like, how can't you see? And it's difficult to have an argument or even normal conversation there about the subject. So for us as an activist, quickly to that acceptance. Yeah, I told you a little bit about fish. There are, of course, a lot of different campaigns. Trees. For me, one campaign, let's plant trees. It's good till we first think that we have to take care of all the trees who already what are already growing in the world. We have to really take care of all the forests. Right now, at least in Estonia, is that you get money if you plant trees, but nobody looks about that. Why do you plant them? So if you want the money, you can make clear cutting and then you start to plant trees. You are doing good thing, right? Because you're planting trees. So, no, you're not. Of course you are if you didn't clear cut first. So this is this one campaign that is greenwashing in a sense, because you can't plant ecosystem. It's the same with sustainable products. We have to think that less consumption. We have to consume less and then sustainable. What the marketing does is that if you buy sustainable, then it is already good. So the root cause is not seen in that. And here we come to this personal responsibility. When I started, I was sure that it is our own duty and responsibility, and this will change the world. Today, I see that this is something what is very good to the industries to make people feel guilty about what they do, and then we are looking on a totally wrong thing. We are looking on single people, and we are thinking that okay, you have to change, you have to change, you have to change. But we need to see the systemic change. We need to, as masses, we need to demand that systemic change and political change and changes in industries, because it is good for industries to make us all feel guilty, to feel bad, and to make us feel even lonely, whatever. And then we are good for the economy. We go and buy, and yes, then marketing says that hey, we are buying now sustainable, right? And so all this marketing will go. Although I think veganism is still one thing what we personally can do. We can personally do a lot of things. But one thing what is maybe how to say, seen not as a very comfortable thing is to change our food, because we anyways have to eat. Consumption, we can consume less and less. Of course, we can eat less probably too. But if we eat, we can choose there. And now about greenwash, I told earlier a little bit. I put here a lot of words where I see that there have been some kind of greenwashing or word washing. Meat. We use on a lot of things, we use other word what makes it seem good or makes us not to think where it comes from, and or takes away the responsibility, like global warming. This is something, if we say global warming, then it sounds like, yeah, it's happening somewhere and we are not responsible for that. If we say global heating, then this makes us responsible, and maybe we start to think more what we use for heating, for electricity, what we eat, if we use the personal car, and so on. And also in politics, it's not something what happens outside us. Profit. This is something I find very interesting to address, because very often what is seen as profit is actually a loss. Like if somebody clear cuts the forest, they see it as a profit because they get money, but it's such a loss for so many creatures and also for so many people. So we need to think again what profit really is, and stock market, and work hard to become wealthy. What is wealth? If we need something or we want something, what are we dependent on, and which right should we actually have on life? like before, I already talked about clean air and water, but stock market. Why? Why is our world so that everything is thought about money, but not about nature and about what we see as wealth and as our happiness, let's say? What makes us happy, and what are we, uh, or who is actually defining our lives? I put the last slide because of that tradition. Very often it's said that tradition. So we are like in a box. It's this tradition box. But in the same time, there are so many things that are going further, like technology, and nobody questions that. Of course, we get new computer, uh, but we can't take new food, or couldn't we think that we need less clothes? Yeah, so no traditions maybe every not every time, or let's question. Let's have the courage to question, and as environmentalists who maybe uh, don't think yet about animal rights or animals as like as creatures, as maybe souls. Maybe let's have the courage to stand away from where we are used to be, or where we have been used to, and let's see it differently. And of course, as animal rights activists, probably, or in my experience, very often they know a lot about environment. Vegans know a lot about environment, because there are so many people who are always asking, yeah, but why do you eat vegan? And then it's good to have a lot of reasons. Yes, thank you. And if you have questions, then I'm happy to answer it.